Welcome back. We're going to head out to the gorge for an important look at the dangers left behind by last summer's Eagle Creek fire. It's the subject of a Science on Tap tonight at the Alberta Rose Theatre. Sobieszczyk is a hydrologist with the U.S. Geological Survey. Made it through that last name, but Geological got me, Stephen.
Almost got me.
He's going to be giving this fascinating talk. Here with a preview, what kind of dangers are we talking about now that still exist out there because of the fire?
Yeah, so anytime you have a fire, there's that initial threat. You know, there's fire, people would need to be evacuated, and then you return. What a lot of people tend to forget is there's additional stuff that happens after. And in the earth science world, we are aware that after fires, there's an increased risk of flooding. So you have these flash floods that might occur in these areas that have been burned. There's also an increase in debris flows or mud flows. Like we've all probably seen the news in Southern California where dozens of people died after mud flows came down after storms following the Thomas fire. So we don't necessarily have the same mud flow type of threat given the gorge's rocky environment, but we still have a potential for increase in flooding, flash flooding in some of the tributaries, and then increase in debris flows.
How do you even begin to assess these risks as scientists? Do you have teams that specialize in each different area?
We do. So depending on whether you're doing it in general, for example, you know, the state of Oregon has a Department of Geology that has assessed a lot of the state for landslide hazards. And the gorge is, you know, bright red. History of landslides, history of debris flows. You might have seen the Roy's house that in '96 got buried by the debris flow outside of Dotson. So there's already a risk there. After a fire, there's actually a group called the Burned Area Emergency Response Team that goes out as a BEAR team. We love our acronyms in science.
Easier to say.
Yeah, and those teams are made up of hydrologists who are assessing what areas are at risk of flooding. There's geologists who are assessing what areas are at risk to debris flows or rock falls or the geologic hazards. There's people that look at the natural resources that are at risk, the cultural resources that are at risk. So it's kind of this hodgepodge team of specialists that kind of assess what's going on after a fire.
When you do an assessment like this, are you also looking forward to say how long the impact will last?
We do. So in the case of flooding, for example, they tend to look at a 1 to 3 year condition after. So like one of the threats people think, okay, we made it through this winter, we're good, right? Well, when it comes to flood hazards or flash flood hazards in particular, I mean, there is longer term potential. You know, there's 1 to 3 years after the event. It takes a while for the forest to regrow, to restabilize, to kind of come out of the soil and stop the water from flowing right off.
It's important though that you talk about it because like you said, people do tend to forget even just a few months later. So you can learn a lot more about this topic. Here's the information after the flames, the science behind the Eagle Creek science response. That's tonight at 7 o'clock, and you'll be there at the Alberta Rose Theatre. Is that correct, Stephen?
That is correct.
Okay, scienceontap.or.com. Thank you so much for being here today.